Hello everyone and welcome to today's Toucan Talks webinar. I'm Sophie O'Brien, I'm our Client Services Director here at Toucan. We are very excited that you've all joined us today and we're looking forward to running the session for you. So if you want to understand what DSP is and when it should slot into your advertising strategy, you're in the right place. Marla here is a senior advertising partner at Toucan and a true Amazon ads expert. She's going to be taking you through some key topics on DSP today, including when and how a brand should activate. We've also got Curtis here with us, our marketing manager, who will be making sure that everything's running smoothly behind the scenes and will be moderating the Q&A session as well. So total session today will run for 45 minutes and that will consist of a 30-minute presentation followed by a 15-minute live Q&A. Please feel free to submit your questions for the Q&A by typing them into the Q&A section at any point during the webinar. Curtis will be collecting all of these during the webinar while Marla is presenting and will then answer as many as we can during the 15 minutes at the end. Now I will stop talking and I will hand you over to the main act, Marla.
Thank you, Sophie. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. As Sophie said, I'm Marla. I'm a senior advertising partner at Toucan, and I'm going to be taking you through today's webinar, which is on when should I be using DSP. Just a little bit about me. In my role at Toucan, I focus on the advertising strategy and planning, execution, optimization, and reporting of full funnel Amazon campaigns, both across Amazon sponsored ads and Amazon DSP. I also manage one of our advertising teams for the Amazon advertising experts, in which we collaborate closely with our content team called Toucan Studios and our account management team. And we seek to drive success for our clients, both on Amazon and our clients who aren't on Amazon. And with that, let's jump into today's webinar, which is focusing on when should I be using DSP. So we've got 5 key points that we're going to be covering today. The first 3 are the really meaty sections of this webinar. Section 4 is more of a kind of screenshot slide for you to take away and really think about and ponder about your business and how you fit into it. And then we have a live Q&A, like Sophie said, at the end for the last 15 minutes. So starting it with what DSP, we're going to go through. What is DSP? Sorry, we're going to go through the basics of DSP as a whole and make sure that everyone's on completely the same page on what DSP actually means. So DSP stands for Demand Side Platform. And a demand side platform is a system that allows us as advertisers or agencies to buy online inventory space, which is called inventory, through multiple publishers or websites via an automated online exchange. So it's a way to refer to display advertising or programmatic display, or other terms that you may have heard in the industry. So like the previous slide, Amazon DSP is a demand side platform that allows advertisers to programmatically buy ads. So programmatic advertising purchases digital ad inventory across loads of different devices and websites. And Amazon DSP is the only DSP that gives you access to Amazon's own inventory. So this includes Amazon Marketplace itself, Twitch, Freebie, and many more. Amazon DSP also has very unique shopper data and a very large volume of it. If you think about all the marketplaces that Amazon runs in and how many people shop on Amazon day in, day out, hour by hour, it has a large pool of data it can pull from, which we feed into our targeting and strategies for the DSP. So Amazon DSP allows advertisers to reach target audiences at scale. And there are 5 pillars that set Amazon DSP apart from other DSPs. So like I mentioned before, the exclusive Amazon audiences pulled from their really large pool database of shopper data. Also the unique reach across different devices and formats. So you can reach people on mobile, on desktop, on apps, on different websites, but you also have Kindle Fire, Fire TV, anything like that is very, very broad and lots of opportunity. Moving on from that, and ties in quite nicely, is its unique exclusive inventory, like I mentioned before, Prime Video, Twitch, Freebie, Fire TV, etc. It also has brand safeguarding measures built in, For example, protecting your brand against fraudulent websites or maybe content that you don't want to serve against. And then also there's closed loop reporting, so you can really measure the success of your campaign and scale it from these metrics. A really great way to think of DSP or display advertising is the modern day equivalent to traditional media buying. So of course, we still see a lot of traditional media buying today. So you can think about billboard ads, which are situated in specific locations. You might be able to think of some that are close to you. So maybe a local business might be promoting their bakery in a local area with the community. Or maybe thinking about magazine or newspaper spreads. So maybe you have a beauty brand like a mascara and you are serving it in a beauty-based magazine because you know those consumers who read that content and digest that content are in the scope of potentially buying mascara. And although these ad placements are really, really impactful, the kind of downsides of display advertising is that we can't measure the direct success of it. So how would you know the impact that a billboard ad is having in your area? You can't be sure that the ad is reaching the right audience at the right time. And you're going to be reaching loads of people through this media who probably aren't engaged with your ad or your content or your brand at all. Traditional media buying is also a very large upfront fee, whereas Amazon DSP is kind of pay as you spend. So you kind of pay as you go throughout your campaign. And we'll touch on this a little bit later. And then also with traditional media buying, it's difficult to optimize to where your placement is strongest, whereas it's really quick. It's really easy to react in the DSP to where you're seeing your performance. So DSPs are responsible for enabling advertisers to show ads across the internet, which you probably see all the time. Here's just 5 examples of different ads we've seen, both static ads and video ads. And you can probably think of some that you've seen even this morning or over lunchtime when you had a little bit of a break and sat on your phone. We're constantly served these ads. Now that we have a top-line understanding of DSP, programmatic advertising, and what these ads kind of look like, we're going to dive into DSP in a little bit more depth and specifically look at Amazon DSP, which is the focus of this webinar. So how does Amazon DSP or DSP generally differ from sponsored ads? So let's firstly look at these 4 key areas and how they differ: reach, audience, location, and cost. So looking at reach, the DSP drives millions of impressions, both on and off Amazon across multiple different devices, whereas your sponsored ads generally appear in contextual category placements on product pages and occasionally off Amazon, but you have less control on where your ad is served versus a DSP where you can be very controlled and if you're serving on Amazon or off Amazon. Your audience, so with the DSP, you're targeting audiences based on lifestyles, different behaviors, someone's interests, their demographics, or maybe even their content consumption. And you can show your ad to that person because of those characteristics or actions that they've shown. Whereas sponsored ads generally is reaching customers who are browsing on Amazon at a specific time. So if you think of someone who's typed in vitamin, you'll serve a vitamin ad through sponsored ads at that time. Location. So in the DSP, we can serve across Amazon owned and operated inventory, but also 3P sites. And you can direct your traffic both to Amazon or your own site, so you can link it out elsewhere. Whereas with sponsored ads, everything is linked into Amazon and ads are primarily served on Amazon. And then finally, cost. The DSP is run on a CPM cost model, which means you're paying per 1,000 impressions, whereas the DSP is sponsored ad, is predominantly cost per click. So you're paying per click rather than paying by the impressions, with the caveat that some of Amazon's updates recently offer on a CPM model, but the majority are on a CPC model. When we're looking at Amazon DSP and sponsored ads together, we know from data from Amazon and from data from Toucan, internal data from Toucan, that sponsored ads and DSP work better together. So Amazon led a very large study in which they found that when when brands run both DSP and sponsored ads together, they see a 15% uplift in new to brand customers compared to advertisers who are only using one ad product. And they also saw a 7% increase in sales versus advertisers who are only using one product. So it has a lot of opportunity for you to drive new to brand engagement and also to drive your sales overall. When we're testing similar campaign setups, both in Amazon DSP and Amazon sponsored ads, Amazon DSP can be stronger in driving ad engagement and conversion. And this is a really great example we have from some internal data at Toucan. So we've been running campaigns, views remarketing campaigns across the DSP and sponsored ads. And in essence, the ad is the same, but in your DSP, you can get a lot more targeted. And what we got from this data is that with DSP, it had a higher engagement, which is the click-through rate figure, CTR. And it also had a higher conversion, which is the ROAS at 13.39 versus 2.59 in sponsored ads. Although sponsored ads saw a lower CPM and a lower cost per click, so it was cheaper to advertise through sponsored ads. It's important to note also that both of these ads were run on a CPM model. So both had the goal of paying per 1,000 impressions rather than paying per click. And what this shows is that when we think of DSP, we often think of it as being a top of funnel awareness brand building approach, but you can also use it to complement your lower funnel and your low hanging fruit and driving conversion there and really maximizing your profitability, your advertising profitability opportunity, so your ROAS, and also your engagement, so your click-through rate in this scenario. So how is Amazon DSP set apart from other DSPs? We've got 5 key areas where it's set apart. Looking at inventory, audiences and targeting, Amazon Marketing Cloud or AMC, reporting, and then opportunity for both endemic advertisers and non-endemic advertisers. So advertisers who are linking into Amazon and also advertisers who may not necessarily be selling on Amazon. So when looking at audiences and targeting, this can be broken down into 8 options, starting with lifestyle. So lifestyle audiences are consumers who reflect a variety of shopping and viewing behaviors. So this is including shopping on Amazon, activity on IMDb or Prime Video or Twitch, and it's other behaviors that are shared preferences and they map onto lifestyle segments. These audiences are often put into awareness, top of funnel activation, and a good way to think of it is maybe, for example, if you created a new product and you created a healthier version of tomato sauce, for example, maybe you'd want to drive awareness with foodies as a lifestyle group or healthy lifestyle consumers, and you can target these audiences. Moving forward, we have in-market audiences. Now, these are individuals who are in the aisle and have been recently shopping for products in a given category within the last 30 days. And this is generally where we'd allocate our consideration activation, so trying to drive engagement with the brand, engagement with the product. A good way to think of this is if you are a gin brand, for example, maybe you want to actively reach consumers who are considering or in market for gin, or maybe in market for other white spirits as well. Moving on to contextual targeting. So contextual targeting is the kind of sister to sponsored ads. It allows you to serve ads where people are browsing right now on Amazon, and it encourages impulse buys and quick conversion. So an example of this is that you could contextually target all of your competitors' ASINs so that your ad serves on those placements. And that means when someone's on Amazon shopping and looking at competitors, your ad's there and they'll be able to go through to your product page or wherever your ad is linking out to. Moving forward, we've got remarketing audiences. So these target consumers who have previously engaged with your ad or your product or your brand store, which you can create in your Amazon sponsored ads console. You can also create remarketing audiences around competitors as well. So maybe you want to pull an audience around people who've viewed or searched for your competitor, or maybe even purchased from your competitor or subscribed and savers of your competitor. You You can build audiences around them and retarget them. And this is a great way to drive conversion for your brand, particularly if someone's searching for your products but not yet over the line in terms of purchasing them. We can retarget them here. Moving forward, we've got lookalikes. So lookalike audiences are really, really interesting. It's a great way for you to broaden the reach of your campaigns, but also know that you're reaching audiences who are similar to your audiences. So you can build your own lookalikes using 1P data. You can also build lookalikes in Amazon Marketing Cloud, which we'll touch on a little bit later, or target Amazon's lookalikes that they have already built. So Amazon, for example, have lookalikes to Prime Day shoppers that you could retarget. Finally, we also have advertiser audiences, which ties in really nicely to lookalike audiences. And this is audiences that use your first-party data, so maybe hashed data through mobile numbers, emails, or the Amazon ad tag. And you can create an audience and retarget these previously engaged consumers from your brand. You can also use it in other ways, like negatively targeting. If you wanted to drive awareness, you can negatively target people who've engaged with your website or bought from your D2C website. And then finally, the last two, which is super, super interesting, is demographic targeting. So you can target specific people who fall into certain characteristics, maybe gender, age, income, education, how big that family is, do they own a specific car, etc. When you think about it, it's very scary what data Amazon has on you and where you think you might fall into these gaps. So for example, how you could use this is if you are a teething toy brand, maybe you want to target parents of children who are 0 to 18 months, and that is actually an audience which is very scary. And then finally, device targeting. So device targeting is where you can look at specific devices, maybe an Android device or an iOS Apple device, but you can also look at targeting different apps or websites on a desktop or mobile or Kindle or anything like that. So there's a lot of opportunity and where you can target. So if you are promoting your new book, maybe you want to be specific to Kindle because you know consumers on Kindle are more likely to read than other device targeting options. Expanding on this, we also have Amazon Marketing Cloud custom audiences, which are a level up from the audiences that we've just mentioned and offer a very unique position in terms of audience targeting. So you can firstly build lookalikes in Amazon Marketing Cloud. So you can have lookalikes of all attributes to help drive top of funnel or middle of funnel activation. So maybe building lookalikes around consumers who are purchasers of your brand, or maybe consumers who are subscribe and savers. So you can build a lookalike, a very broad lookalike of people who subscribe and save to your product on Amazon. You can build audiences around consumers who are searching very specific keywords but not yet purchasing. So examples of this is that you could have keywords such as your brand keywords. So people who are searching for your brand but not yet purchasing, you can retarget them at that ad. Or maybe a competitor's keyword, so you can try and steal market share from your competitors. Or a generic keyword, so if you're a toothbrush brand and you are retargeting people who've searched toothbrush but not bought your product, you can serve them in that ad. And it's very, very interesting to be able to use this audience because it really bridges the gap between sponsored ads advertising and DSP, whereas your sponsored ads would be serving against those keywords. But these ads are retargeting those people who've clearly been searching those keywords but not yet buying from you. You also have cart abandoners. Now, these are people who've added your product to cart on Amazon but not yet gone through with the purchase. So you can retarget those consumers to really help you get that purchase over the line and drive conversion. Traffic acquisition or audience overlap between different ad types. So traffic acquisition looks at consumers who've viewed maybe ads at the top of your funnel but not yet the bottom of your funnel. So you can help drive your consumers down the funnel and help guide their shopper journey both on and off Amazon. And also potentially an a consumer has viewed all of your sponsored ads, so maybe your sponsored product, sponsored brand, sponsored display ad, or maybe just sponsored display and sponsored brand, but they have not purchased from you yet, you can retarget them with this kind of DSP ad, and it's very, very customizable to you. You can also build specific audiences around promotion purchases or new to brand purchases. So what you do with that data is totally up to you, but how we would use it is potentially retargeting new to brand purchases so that you can upsell different products within your range, or promotion purchases. If you know someone, building an audience around people who've purchased over Prime Day and you want to drive lifetime value from them, we can build this audience for them and retarget them elsewhere in the DSP. And then finally, consumers who've engaged with your ad but not yet purchased. So you can retarget consumers who's engaged with a DSP conversion ad or a DSP consideration ad, for example, and not yet gone through with purchase. So Amazon DSP has a really big advantage over other types of DSP due to their unique supply. I feel like we've banged on about this, but it's so important. So this unique supply really focuses on Prime Video, which was launched in February this year. But there's also Freevee, Twitch, IMDb, Fire TV, and much more, for example, Amazon itself. And it's really interesting for you to think as a brand where you want your ads to serve, as only Amazon DSP can access this inventory. So Prime Video, for example, is a very impactful video slot. And if you're not accessing it, your competitors or potentially someone else is. Expanding on Amazon Marketing Cloud. Now, as a very top line introduction to Amazon Marketing Cloud, we've spoken about audiences without actually talking about what AMC is overall. So just to clear the air on what it is, so Amazon Marketing Cloud is an analytics and clean room solution that simplifies analytics across your marketing channels. So it provides advertisers with really valuable insights into audiences and behaviors, and advertisers can evaluate the effectiveness of their marketing strategies in different regions of the funnel. Now, if what I just said just made completely no sense, we've kind of broken it down into kind of 6 regions on how you can use AMC, which might be able to help you grasp the AMC a little bit more. So you're able to run campaign deep dives, so you can assess your reach, maybe your frequency, which means how many times your ad's been served within a specific time period, and total impact across the marketing funnel. You can also assess your media mix analysis, maybe specific channels are driving incremental value, or the effectiveness of having different combinations. Maybe one type of DSP ad is working really, really well with your sponsored brand campaign. Audience insights, you can have a really in-depth understanding of your audience and also use it to guide your optimization. So maybe you've been targeting all ages on Amazon, but you found out that 18 to 25s are driving loads of spend for you, but they're not actually driving any conversion. We can negatively target that audience. Or maybe you find that consumers who have an Apple product or iOS are really engaging well and purchasing your product, but Android users aren't. We can target just Apple users. So there's loads of opportunity in that. Journey assessment, so you can look at the sequence, the frequency, and the types of audience interactions on the path to conversion. Maybe consumers are always seeing a DSP ad first before they go through with the conversion. Maybe we're finding that when people are the most efficient path to conversion ends with sponsored products and includes sponsored brands in it. So it gives you an opportunity to look at what different ad types and what journeys are the most efficient way for you to drive conversion. Custom attribution, so you can tailor how different touch points are credited and understand the full contribution of your media campaign. So maybe one specific ad type is credited more because it has a really big impact in terms of driving click-through rates. And then omni-channel impact, so you can evaluate the performance of your Amazon ad campaigns in driving engagement and sales wherever the customers spend their time. So moving forward, you can integrate the previous elements around audience targeting, inventory, AMC, and closed loop reporting for both endemic and non-endemic brands. So endemic advertising revolves around promoting products that are available on Amazon, whereas non-endemic revolves around promoting products that aren't physically on Amazon, so maybe industries such as insurance or financial services, you can still use Amazon's DSP and the unique advantage that it has to serve on there and link out to your own landing page. So we've gone through what DSP is generally, and we've had a look at how it's different from traditional media buying. We also now have an understanding of Amazon DSP, how it's different from sponsored ads, and how it can be used to complement sponsored ads. We've also looked at in depth into audiences and targeting, different inventory for Amazon DSP, Amazon Marketing Cloud, and how endemic and non-endemic users can both access this. We're now going to focus on the meat of the whole webinar and the main question of what we're addressing today, which is, how do I know I should actually be using it? So as a kind of screenshot vague takeaway, here are the 6 points that you may be using and thinking about. If you're thinking about one of these 6 points, this is a sign that you should be integrating DSP. So maybe you want to reach new and untapped audiences and boost your general brand awareness. Maybe you've maximized your opportunity on search to Amazon sponsored ads and you see it's performing well. Maybe your sponsored display is showing really promising results, but you want to continue to engage new pools of consumers at scale. Maybe you want to gather more insightful data about your audience that you can use at cross-channel, maybe in your social media or other advertising. Maybe you want to test new avenues and new creatives and see what works best for your brand. Or maybe you want to be super targeted with your advertising efforts and specifically look at new to brand customers or increase conversions. So there is a lot of possibilities when it comes to advertising through Amazon DSP. Most brands generally want to take advantage of DSP because it can drive amazing top of funnel, middle of funnel activation, so driving reach and awareness, but it can also be used lower down the funnel as well. It should never just be viewed as awareness only, because it can really complement your sponsored ads at every stage of the funnel. So you can use it to drive awareness for your brand, like we spoke about before, so driving reach, attracting new to brand, expanding reach, and reaching audiences that are not necessarily on Amazon through streaming TV, audio ads, and DSP, both in video formats and display formats. You can also use it to drive consideration for your brand, so actively getting consumers to view your ad, consider your product, consider your brand. And this can be done through specific audience targeting, like we spoke about before, so maybe in-market audiences. You can also use it to drive purchase and loyalty, which was really where we focused on retargeting and remarketing relevant engagers with your brand and product. You can also think about, when should I be activating DSP with Amazon Marketing Cloud? And in short, the answer to this is literally at absolutely any point. We recognize that how insightful AMC is in adding value to performance, contextualization, and in-depth understanding of your campaign performance. And it can also identify levers that can be pulled to further drive performance. So across your data, your audience and targeting, your optimizations, and also your performance and strategy review. What can I activate with my budget? Now, this is a very, very rough guide, and it's important to note that with Amazon DSP, there are no minimums, and we recommend that every strategy is purpose-built to your goals and KPIs. So we recommend against a blanket one-size-fits-all approach, but as a general takeaway, here is quite a good guidance of what each budget can get you. So around 2K a month, you can reach selective areas, selective regions of the funnel, but not a full funnel approach. With 5K a month, you can do a little bit more. You can have impactful audio and video placements or full funnel DSP activation. You won't be able to run both because it's insufficient budget to be able to do it well. 10K a month, you'll be able to run impactful audio and video placements and a full funnel Amazon DSP strategy, but you'll have to be quite cautious in how you're adjusting your budget depending on your funnel region. And then with around 20k a month, you'll be able to drive impact across your full funnel Amazon DSP, and also audio and visual placements at the very top of the funnel, and really drive reach and engagement, driving your consumers down the funnel. Before you launch a programmatic DSP campaign, it's important that we need to be aware of that DSP should not be compared to sponsored ads. It should be viewed as a great tool to feed your funnel and support conversion at the bottom of your funnel. And it always works best when you're running an always-on approach. Now, here's a case study that we ran for a CPG brand in Germany. We ran a freebie campaign as well as a full funnel Amazon DSP campaign. We found across this campaign that we drove a 16% increase in brand awareness, a 12% increase in brand consideration, and a 12% increase in purchase intent off the back of running this top of funnel and middle of funnel activation, which also outperformed the CPG benchmarks for that brand. And then finally, why Toucan? So Toucan, we are proud to be experts in our field, and my team and I are very proud to be experts in the field of Amazon DSP. Here is an example of some work that we did for a probiotic brand, in which we grew their ROAS by 253% and their ad sales by 96% in relaunching their DSP strategy from a previous agency. So we ensure that there is best-in-class campaign setup and management to drive success for your brand and their KPIs. Now, rounding up just what we've learned today, our key takeaways are that Amazon DSP is extremely powerful, and it should be used to drive reach because of Amazon's massive customer base. Advertisers can create an extremely targeted ad campaigns through advanced targeting and your first-party data. Amazon DSP and sponsored ads should be used parallel to hit all aspects of the marketing funnel. Amazon DSP has a big advantage over other DSPs as it's very unique supply and inventory. And even if you are a brand who doesn't sell on Amazon, you can still leverage Amazon DSP, which is fantastic. And it should be introduced to in your ad strategy as early as possible, right from just driving awareness to market dominance. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand back over to Sophie.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Marla. That was great. I'd love to get some quick feedback actually from the attendees. So could you just pop your hand up in the chat if you found that you learned something new today? Great. Amazing. Lots of hands going up. Cool. Okay. That's really positive. Thank you for the feedback, and really great to see that a lot of you have picked up something new today. So like Marla said, we'll now move on to the Q&A section. So thank you everyone for submitting your questions during the session. I saw a lot of them coming in. To answer one of them, there was a practical question about whether the webinar will be recorded. Yes, it is being recorded, and Curtis will send it out afterwards to everybody who registered and signed up today. So as I mentioned, Curtis has been collecting the questions as we've gone through, and we will try to get through as many as we can in the now 10 minutes that we've got left. I'll hand over to Curtis then to start us off.
Thanks for that presentation, Mala. Yep, so we have a few questions here. So the first one is, someone said, DSP is obviously great for driving awareness. How can it help drive conversion and loyalty?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So my top advice would be lower down the funnel, you can activate ads and creatives that are more native to Amazon. So these look a lot like sponsored display campaigns, and they're really good for driving detailed page views and conversions, which are called responsive e-commerce ads. So if you activate across specific creatives, this can help drive conversion and loyalty. And more so, you can choose how you're targeting to make sure that you're reaching the right consumers. So you can integrate remarketing, so remarketing those people who have viewed your product or viewed your brand on Amazon or purchased from your brand before, and also integrating the Amazon Marketing Cloud audiences, maybe cart abandoners, maybe people who've searched specific keywords like your branded keyword and not yet purchased. And this allows you to capture anyone who's not shown or has shown, purchase intent, but not yet gone through with the conversion.
Perfect, thanks. Another question we have here is how can I access Amazon Marketing Cloud?
Yes, so if you go into your sponsored ads console, you'll be able to find a tab that's called Measurement and Reporting. And usually the Amazon Marketing Cloud sits in there. If you click into it and you have an account, you'll be able to locate your instance in there. If you don't have an AMC account or you don't have an instance, that's fine. At Toucan, we have a Amazon Marketing Cloud account, like we just showed. We'll be able to create an instance for you and we'll start being able to collect that data.
Perfect, thanks. One other question here is, can you narrow audiences by overlaying the different 8 audience options? For example, remarketing audiences who also fit into certain lifestyle and in-market criteria, for instance.
Yeah, you can overlay loads of audiences to make sure that your campaign is targeted to the right audience. So let's say you want to reach people who are engaged in your category. Let's say your category is shaving. So you can target people who are in market for shaving. But let's say you also know that your target audiences are male and they are over 45. You can overlay demographic targeting with that so that you're targeting people in market for those for shaving, but also they're male and they're over 85. And maybe you also want to negatively target, which can be overlaid as well, and you want to attract consumers who have not yet purchased from your brand, for example. So you can also add in a layer of negative targeting, so people who've bought from your brand in the last 30 days. There's lots more options. If you have any more questions regarding targeting, feel free to reach out to us and we can go into that in a lot more detail.
That's great, thanks. Another one here is, if I don't sell on Amazon, why should I use Amazon DSP over other DSPs?
Yeah, good question. There are loads of DSPs, and I'm sure you've been able to or reached out to other DSPs as well. And I think we have probably covered a lot of reasons today over why use Amazon DSP, but I think, in my personal opinion, the most important reasons are about the inventory. So access like Prime Video, Twitch, Freevee, Amazon itself, IMDb, Fire TV. You can only access that through Amazon's DSP. So if you're activating there, you need to make sure, or you want to activate there, you need to make sure that you're using Amazon DSP because you do not have access to that anywhere else. And the reason would be about the pool of audience data. So Amazon is huge. It has access to so much data about shoppers and their habits on Amazon, but also the habits in the Amazon ecosystem itself. So maybe what are they listening to through their podcast information? What are they listening to on Apple Music, on Amazon Music, sorry. What are they watching on Prime Video, on Freevee? What do they engage with? So you have that data as well as the shopping data, so you can be really targeted in your audience targeting, as well as adding in your own 1P data targeting, so around Amazon's ad tag, as well as hashed data, maybe your hashed emails list and things like that. So there's so much audience opportunity in Amazon DSP. I'm going to go off. Sorry, Kurt, there's a couple more. AMC, Amazon Marketing Cloud, is just, it's incredible the amount of data you can get through it, and super interesting, and something that's constantly evolving as well. So Amazon are constantly improving Amazon Marketing Cloud, so there's loads and loads more opportunity now and in the future as well, so you can get unique offering on audience and also performance analysis. So maybe you want to find out your most efficient path to purchase. That's something that you can do through AMC. And then I would say 2 more things. Closed loop reporting. So like we mentioned before, display on a billboard or a magazine, how can you actually measure the impact that's having on your brand? With Amazon DSP, you can directly see the performance of your brand against so many KPIs, which we can confirm together what your KPIs are, and we can measure that. And then finally, brand safety. So Amazon can make sure that you're not serving on fraudulent websites, you're not serving on inappropriate content that you don't want to serve against for your own brand image. You can really heavily integrate that.
That's great. Thanks, Mala. I think I'll pass it over to Sophie here now just to
Cool.
close up on the presentation.
Cool. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Marla. We're conscious of everyone's time, so we are going to cut short the question session. Thank you so much for submitting all of the questions today. There were a few that we didn't manage to get through, so if you did have a burning question that wasn't answered, please just feel free to get in touch with us at hello@toucanecommerce.com, or you'll see a QR code there that you can just scan and it should take you right through to us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We love presenting to you, and we hope to see you again at another Toucan Talks event, whether that's online or in person in the future. So thank you and have an amazing rest of your day.